Manoj, thank you so much and welcome to Faces of Fintech. So in this video series, we're interviewing the tastemakers and innovators behind the UK's most groundbreaking digital solutions. I can't wait to hear more about your journey and learn more about your mission to help businesses improve and achieve their goals. So really, just to kick things off, I'd love to hear who you are, what do you do, and why do you do it?
Yeah, so my name's Manoj Varsani. I'm the CEO and founder of Hammock. We also have two other founders in Hammock as well. What we do is we basically do banking, bookkeeping, and taxes for landlords and accountants. So we're almost like a one-stop shop for landlords. We service landlords with just one property, all the way up to 100 plus professional landlords. And we also service landlords who co-own, people who own a limited company. So we try to really help the landlords with their back office functions, all the stuff they hate doing, and typically do it on spreadsheets, try to get them digitized and online.
Perfect. So just moving away from the property subject at the moment. So I read that your career path has not just been property based, but it was also charity based. So I did read on the website that Hammock are now involved, so including yourself and all employees at Hammock are involved in charity work. So would you mind just giving some further information to us, obviously what inspired that and how that came about during lockdown?
Yeah, so in terms of my background, it's in tech. So I've been a CTO at various different companies throughout my career. Outside of work, I'm also a landlord, a part-time landlord with many of them out there. And in terms of charity work, I'll be honest, I've been doing charity work since the age of 20. So I've always been a philosophy of mine to give back where I can and help other people where I can. And from that, you learn so much and it helps me keep me grounded. So in March 2020 last year, when the PPE crisis happened, one of the charities that I'm the chairman of, the CEO rang me and she said, we've got no masks, we've got the hand sanitizers, and we can't go out and look after the vulnerable children, the vulnerable adults. We can't send our nurses out. Can you help us? So the first thing I did is started calling up suppliers to see if anyone's got stock of masks, gloves, etc. And the first thing I noticed is a lot of people are out of stock, or some suppliers were just taking advantage of the prices and the shortages. So that they'll charge £100 for a box of masks, which normally costs £3. Yeah. So I got infuriated with that, and then I thought this must be a national problem. It can't be a local problem to this charity in London. So I spoke to my team at Hammock. I said, look, I've got an idea. I think this problem's happening in the country. So this is before the whole PPE went massive, a week before. Sat down with the team. I think this is going to happen. Let's set up a website called SOS Supplies and try and source some suppliers out there who are not ripping people off and actually have stock in the UK. So we did that on the weekend, set up the website, and the next thing you know, fast forward 3 months, we were supplying to about 250 plus hospitals and charities, the police force, Mary Curie, Sue Ryder, women, children, refugees, about 70 plus hospitals. We shipped over 1 million pieces of PPE. We donated over 250,000 pieces of PPE. We had over 22 volunteers. I'm merely the voice of the work that we did, but it's a mammoth piece of work that we did. All my employees, we had outside volunteers who were instrumental, sourcing supplies, helping people. It just went absolutely massive. I think we must have sold about £5 million worth of PPE in 3 months, which is just astonishing.
Yeah, I have to say, it's honestly so refreshing to hear. It's just obviously during that time, awful and scary, I'm sure, for many people. And just having yourself and the charity organization that you are working with and alongside to help those people who needed it, it's lovely. So yeah, it's amazing work. So I'm sure they're all so grateful. And I was about to say thank you, but I'm sure you've heard that so many times anyway. But yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, I mean, for us, for Hammock and the volunteers, like I remember I was feeling mental anxiety at the time of the first wave, and it was so stressful being in lockdown and the uncertainty of what's going to happen. But it, by doing this project, it actually helped us mentally and reduce that anxiety, because we were able to do something to try and help the people. And it's just, it was so heartbreaking to hear doctors on the phone crying on the phone with relief, like, thank you for sending these things. And it's an absolute crazy experience, one none of us will ever forget, none of the volunteers will ever forget.
Yeah, well, you have done something amazing, so it is so lovely to hear. So just moving forward with your journey, so you did mention that you were a landlord previously, so did being a landlord, did that assist with coming up with the idea for Hammock? Like, is there a story that resonates with you where you think, that was definitely the point where, Hammock had to come into place?
Yeah, 100%. So I'm still a landlord, so I still own my properties.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I found is, in the market, if you look at the landlord demographics of the market, most landlords are actually part-time. They're like me, they're like you. They have a full-time job or full-time career, and they own a couple of properties on the side, or they might own even 10 and 15 and still do it part-time. And every year we have to file our taxes at the end of the year. And there is no tool out there that tells me what my yields are, what my growth is, if I want to grow my portfolio, if I want to submit my taxes to my accountant. We all use spreadsheets, right? So, when you use a spreadsheet, you have to download the bank statements, you have to reconcile the transactions by properties. And if you want to figure out what your profit and loss is by properties, you have to break it down by properties. And just keeping track of all this, the mortgages, the insurances, is really, really expensive. So we built this tool from something to help the landlords and, not make tax a burden, basically. So most landlords file their taxes at the end of the year, and that's because, one, they don't want to pay that tax, and two, it's the massive burden of actually doing, which is the primary reason. It's such a pain to do the taxes on a spreadsheet. And that's where the idea came up with, and it was at the time when we launched it and I started it. Open banking was really new. In fact, we were one of the first companies to become directly regulated by the FCA. If you look at most companies out there, they actually piggyback off someone else, but even today they do. But we actually went directly to the FCA and got authorized directly, which was a massive challenge itself. But
yeah, no, that's great. So has it helped you with you yourself being a landlord? Has Hammock really helped you since? I don't know how it was you were managing your portfolio back in the day before Hammock, but since then, has it really? Have you seen an improvement to how you are now managing your portfolio?
100%, yeah, 100%. So the beauty of Hammock is it's not just about taxes and bookkeeping. We also tell you what your profit and losses are by property, where you're spending a lot of the money, keeping track of your arrears. So, some of my properties are managed by letting agents, so keeping track of arrears is a lot easier through letting agents. Some of them are managed by myself, and sometimes you miss payments, and sometimes the tenants sometimes overpay or underpay, and it's really hard to keep track of this. And even when a letting agent they fix something on my behalf, they might pay £500 less than the rental income. As when you submit your taxes, you've got to balance the books, you've got to put the rent top up back up, and then you've got to create that expense. So those are the things that used to trip me over. And just keep track of the receipts and stuff like that. And like all landlords, we do it at the end of the year, and then going back and trying to find those receipts of trying to find the transactions, it's a real pain sometimes.
So for property, landlords, who are watching right now, what can you tell them a bit more to us why they should use Hammock, what Hammock does, how easy it is to sign up and get their finances in order? Just a bit further information on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. If you look at the property sector as a landlord, we've got so much regulation in terms of property regulation, housing regulation, tenant regulation. just having your property's gas safety certificate done every year, getting your electrical certificate done now. And the regulations are changing all the time, and it's really hard to keep on top of all this. And then also, because most of us are part-time as well, it's great that we use letting agents to manage property, but we've got so much work to do our taxes and bookkeeping. So this tool is about digitizing the journey for landlords, getting them off the spreadsheets and not making the management of finances a burden, effectively. So Hammock does all the hard work. So, once a landlord is set up on Hammock, 98% of the work's done by Hammock for them. So, we reconcile all the payments automatically through open banking, for our machine learning. We try to make the life easy as possible for the landlords. And that's exactly why we created it, is to make life easy for me as well as a landlord. Yeah. That's exactly what happened, right? So, but yeah, it's about bringing the landlords and digitizing that back office journey for them, and then helping them manage their compliance, manage their bookkeeping and taxes.
So for landlords who currently have a system in place where they keep their information on a spreadsheet, they send that to their accountant at the end of their tax year, what advice would you give them to say, stop that, you need to move over to Hammock? Because I know that there's probably some people who are watching and thinking, well, why can I not just stick to my spreadsheet, send that to my accountant, and then receive my yearly tax figure? So what would you say to those people who were thinking that?
Yeah, so I'm a stickler for detail as well. So I love spreadsheets as well, if I'm honest with you. But the beauty of Hammock is not only does it save you so much time for doing your bookkeeping and sending that. So, once you've put in the information in Hammock, and Hammock does all the reconciliation and bookkeeping, we spread out a statement for you, which you can then send to the accountant directly. And also, the other thing, which is really valuable, we provide property insights. So we actually calculate the yields, the return of investment, the forecasts. You can track the valuations, the capital growth in the properties. We break down your P&L by properties as well as a portfolio. So Hammock's about actually helping us become almost semi-professional landlords in terms of let's treat our property as assets. They're worth so much money, and why don't we do that? So Hammock is about bringing those financial insights to life. And in real time. So in the click of a button in the mobile app, you can see how well your property is performing. And if you want to grow your portfolio as well, Hammock's a fantastic tool to do that and enable you to do that. And we have our own current accounts as well. So if you want to buy another property in 2 years' time, we can actually automatically put away some of your rental portion towards the deposit to help build up a deposit. So it also helps support the landlords to grow their portfolio as well.
So how does Hammock assist with that? With MTD fast approaching, how will that help landlords make sure they're ready?
Yeah, sure. So look, the great thing about Hammock is we're not just a tool for landlords, we're also a tool for accountants. So we actually bridge the gap for both of them. And our premise is that time actually has value, and time is money on both the landlord side and the accountant side. When MTD comes along, and it's coming around fast, all the pain points I talked about doing it once a year is going to get amplified because we have to do it 5 times a year. And that workload, it's not fun workload for the landlord or for the accountant either. That workload's it's going to exponentially grow. Especially for accountants as well. If you're managing a book of 100 landlords, you're going to do that now 5 times a year. Yeah. So I think technology is really needed here to help digitize that journey. And also for the accountants and the landlords, the tool really helps the landlords and the accountants in the sense of the accountants can now look at their portfolio and see all the insights that we provide and can provide that advice as well to the landlords. But I think for the landlords, the workload is going to really go high. And imagine we all file our taxes towards January once a year because of the pain points. Now that we've got to do it 5 times a year, I I think the adoption of technology is now more crucial. And luckily, Hammock has built the tools and the bridge between the landlords and accountants already.
Perfect. So if you don't mind me asking, what is it that Hammock offers that no other competitive software does?
Yeah, so we are a niche. So we don't service any other sector other than the landlords.
Yeah.
And for that reason, we are just dedicated to the property sector and the landlords. So all of our categorization, the bookkeeping elements, the property yields, it's all tailored towards landlords. And that's our super niche, effectively. And I'm a landlord. Most of my employees are landlords. We understand the pain points for the landlords. And we also understand the pain points for our accountants. We have to submit our taxes to the accountants. So that's our competitive advantage, is everything we do is all tailored around saving time, saving money for the landlords and for the accountants.
And the fact that you are all landlords, obviously you relate. So you understand the pain points and know where exactly it is you have to target within that industry. Because you yourself, I'm sure, have experienced the pain points firsthand.
Yeah, 100%. And because we're a technology company, we have a lot of employees who are not landlords, but they bring fresh thinking to the game as well. And then innovation is, in its true form, comes when you've got diversity and variation of thinking. So even the ideas that come up from non-landlords, they're actually really, really valuable, and we implement those as well.
Right. Yeah. Perfect. So just moving on to your biggest successes. So would you mind talking me through what your biggest success is and what you think you are most proud of since you have been within this industry, or even prior to Hammock?
Wow. It's a very tough question.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, you've definitely put me on the spot there. But I've had a very fortunate career path to get to where I am today. I've been really lucky to be a CTO of various different companies. As a chief technology officer, I worked for some really cool companies, large, like a FTSE 100 company for 4.5 years. That was one of my proudest moments of becoming a CTO for such a large company in there, looking after one of the subsidiaries. I've also worked at high growth startups like Moo.com. I've worked for an online estate agent as a CTO as well. I've also worked for a lending platform for landlords as a CTO. So all of these things are really, really proud moments for me, for every company I work in. And then just starting my own company with Hammock and working with my co-founders and my team. The whole experience of building something together, trying to make a better environment for the landlords, even for the tenants. And we're about to become B Corp certified as a company, which is a massive deal for us. So not only do we want to help the landlords save time and money, we want to have a larger footprint in the sustainability of the property sector as well, and help the tenants in the long term as well. And the other proudest moment I have is probably the SOS supplies. And I say this, I am just the voice of the collective volunteers.
Yeah.
That I was lucky enough to be awarded an MBE on the New Year's Honours List last year. So that's obviously a very proud moment for me and my family, and everyone that was involved as well. But and I had my baby boy in December.
Oh, congratulations.
Proud moments. There's so many proud moments, I'll be honest with you. But
I was going to say, that last one about your baby boy has just topped it all off. So that's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I was born on Christmas Day as well.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God, that's amazing. That's a lovely present.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, that's so nice. How is it all going?
Fatherhood. I don't recommend starting parenthood and starting a company at the same time. So that was definitely a massive challenge.
Yeah.
That was very, very stressful for both me and my wife. But yeah, it's going fantastic. There's nothing. Family is so important to me and to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Congratulations again.
Yeah,
so on your journey, were there any tough challenges that you came across, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so for Hammock specifically, directly becoming FCA authorized for the open banking piece was really, really tough. It took us over nearly 10 months to get our authorization for the open banking piece. And this is why a lot of people become agents of the FCA authorization as opposed to doing it themselves. But one of the benefits of doing it yourself is it improves your business from the scrutiny of the FCA, the conduct, the security aspect, understanding how you protect the customer's data, how you protect all aspects of the company. Yeah, I think the whole process of doing the FCA regulation and the application and the things that we had to implement, it was a bit of a learning curve. I have worked in FCA regulated environments before, but doing it yourself as a startup, as a company, and then investing in these areas, I think that was a big challenge for us. And becoming directly authorized is quite tough. Yeah. But we wear that badge of honor now that we are directly regulated for that.
Great. So if you had one tech-related piece of advice for landlords looking to improve their finances and portfolios, what would it be?
I would say is try to get a financial snapshot view, an overview of your properties, and don't treat your assets, don't just submit your taxes once a year. Actually figure out how much money you're making in these properties. Figure out if you're spending $3,000 a year on properties and maintenance, maybe you're better off refurbishing that property. Also, figure out what your goals are, what your ambitions are, right? That you don't fall into property by accident. I went into property because I didn't have a pension fund. And I saw that as a way to protect my wealth of my family in the future should something happen to me. So that's why I got into property. So what are your property goals? And really get onto Hammock, upload your property, and you'll see all the insights we give you will actually understand your situation and your financial protection as well, in terms of your growth of your portfolio. And if you want to buy more properties, get that goal written down. And how are you going to get that? How are you going to achieve that goal? You need to come up with a plan. Everything is about having some sort of event and having some sort of reaction. And then with those two together, you get an outcome and you get a goal, right? So if you've got a goal, you've got to do something about it. And that's my advice.
Everything you've just said, I 100% agree with, especially the this business snapshot and the goals. I think planning forward and knowing where you are is definitely the way to obviously be within this business.
100%. A property is not just a property; it's an asset. Let's treat it like an asset.
Definitely. So just to finish off, what is next on the agenda for Hammock? Are there any exciting releases that you can share with me, or any updates?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're going to start looking at doing is savings accounts. So we're going to help the landlords save up money towards the goals, for example. So if you want to buy a property, or it could be any goal, to be honest, but it could be a tax pot to pay your taxes in the year. I'm a victim of this. I spend too much of my rent collection sometimes, and not saved up enough for the tax pot at the end of the year. So tax pots, saving pots, gold pots, and stuff like that. So that's one of the cool things that we're working on at the moment to help the landlords manage their finances better. And of course, this will benefit their accountants as well when they've got tax pots specifically created, right? So that's one of the cool things that we're working on at the moment, actually.
Definitely. Do you have a date to us when that will be released, or is it at the moment just a work in progress?
We have a beta version of it, actually. Yeah. So we have a beta version of it. The date is not finalized yet, but hopefully towards Q2, Q3, we go live with that.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Manoj. That is everything from me. They are all my questions. So yeah, that was absolutely great. So thank you. If you like this episode, go and have a listen to the rest of the series. We are Raffingers, and you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Raffingers. Alternatively, you can visit our website at raffingers.co.uk. I've been your host, Emma Cohen, and this is Faces of Fintech.